This introductory tutorial to Autodesk Maya 2016. These tutorials are going to be designed for people who have never used Autodesk Maya before and want to learn how to create things in the software as well as how to create some basic animations so that maybe hopefully you could create something of your own one day. Everything when you open up this program looks a little bit intimidating, but in reality it's pretty straightforward and I'm going to walk you through a lot of it. So for example, this here is the workspace. These are some tools, here are some more tools. This here is your properties window, and over here are layers. So you can kind of think of layers as in Photoshop, where if you turn off certain layers, they won't be in your scene anymore. And if they're not in your scene, then you don't need to worry about them and they don't need to take up memory. So let's do something really simple in this video. We're going to put down a polygon. So I'm just going to go down and drop a square. Over here, your square is probably going to look something like this. But if you click on it, you're going to notice right away that the properties window has a bunch of properties on it. And what I'd like you to do is press the W key on the keyboard. When you press the W key on the keyboard, what happens is you get these translate controls. So you can move the arrows up and down, left and right, etc., etc. It also selects this button over here. This is also the move tool. And if you want to click on that instead of pressing W, you are more than welcome to. If you don't want to move it in the X, Y, or Z directions, alternatively you can click on one of these cubes over here and you can kind of move it in 3D space. That being said, remember that you are moving things in 3D space. So what I'd like you to do next is press the space key on your keyboard, and you're going to notice that we have 4 windows when you press space. And right away, even though it kind of looks like it's on the surface, it isn't anymore. We've kind of lifted it a little. So you got to be careful how you move things. If you look at the side view over here, you're going to notice that I'm moving up and down if this is the initial 0 plane. So be aware of that. Of course, we can fine-tune our adjustments by translating it in the X, Y, and Z direction simply by adjusting the properties, and that will adjust it over here. Okay, let me move that to the side. I'm also going to drop down another polygon, so let's go ahead and, if you want to head back to this view, you can press the space key and you'll be back in it. But you have to be pointing at it. Maya runs off of a contact system. So whatever screen my mouse is hovering over is the screen that it will go to. Alternatively, if you just hold down the space button, you're going to see all the options that are in the toolbar. So this can speed things up if you know where things are, which eventually you will. So let's go back here. I'm going to drop in a pyramid. And, oops, sorry, that was a cone. Drop in a cone, and right away you're going to notice that this cone has its own properties, just like this cube has its own properties. If you would like to name them, you can also name them to whatever you'd like. Pretty much everything can be adjusted or edited. Okay, and we can move this one as well. So we have 2 objects, things are looking pretty good, and we can translate them with W. Go ahead and press the letter E. And if you press E, this is the rotate tool. So your axes for rotation will look like this, and you can grab onto any of these circles, and you can kind of like rotate it, kind of like a gyrosphere. Create a rotation. If you want to fine-tune that rotation, you can adjust it in the properties. Yep. And it's like so. Oh, also if you grab on the shadow, you can rotate it freely and try to create whatever fine-tunement that you would like. Okay, so we've rotated those a couple. Last but not least, I would like you to use the scale tool located over here, or alternatively you can just press R. So if you press R and you click on an option, what this is going to allow you to do is to scale an object in the X, Y, or Z direction. And if you want to scale it symmetrically, like let's say I want to scale this cube symmetrically, grab it from the center. And if you grab it from the center at that yellow cube over here, you're going to adjust it symmetrically. So it's going to get larger and it can get smaller, so on and so forth. So you can adjust objects easily using that. Okay, now let's say that you only wanted to work with the cone over here and not the cube. You didn't want the cube in your scene. that's kind of what layers come in for. So we can have layers that are going to create or like control each of these objects. So let's create an empty layer, and I think you want to make sure you're on the display option, because right now we're just displaying an object. We haven't actually got to rendering it. Once we've created it, we can adjust it. We could call this cube layer, hit save, and then I can click on the cube and I can go over here, right click, and do add selected objects. And because the cube is selected, the cube is now in the cube layer. And to prove that, if I turned off the V, which stands for visible, the cube would disappear, leaving only the cone in my scene. So this is going to be helpful when you don't want things eating up your memory and getting in the way. Okay, so that was just a brief start tutorial. If you like what you see, definitely head on over to the second video, and I will see you where we're going to take this a bit further. Okay, peace.